Kentucky Ancestors Town Hall was filmed at the headquarters of the Kentucky Historical Society. Join us as we reveal Kentucky family mysteries, share tips from our experts, and learn about Kentucky history, telling Kentucky's story, one family at a time.
Hello, I'm Renee Shaw, and welcome to Kentucky Ancestors Town Hall by the Kentucky Historical Society. I'm so glad to be here with you all, with this audience, and with Philip Doty. Welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you from Louisville.
Yes, sir.
Former FBI agent.
Right.
I've got to be on my best behavior, is that right? No sudden movements.
No.
You came to us to clear up some confusion about one of your ancestors who served in the Civil War.
Yes.
Tell us about him and what you're looking for.
John Gordon Doty was a relative of mine who enlisted in the Confederacy in the Civil War, served 3 years, and came back to his home county, lived the rest of his life. The history that I looked into was interesting because it started with his application for a pension that was submitted to the state of Kentucky and signed off by not only a then-sitting governor of the state of Kentucky, I later found out under whom he had served in the Confederacy. My relative served with Morgan's Raiders, or at least that was what was alleged, and apparently that's been verified. But there was contradictory information regarding his service as to whether or not he simply rode with Morgan, or if in fact one of the contemporaneous reports that he gave said that he had gone to Tennessee with the remnants of Morgan's Raiders and engaged in hand-to-hand combat and received a commendation from the Confederate Secretary of War. Nothing is mentioned in the local record about that. So we have an issue of what did he actually do?
Yeah, and that's why you're here today, and
That's
we're going
why
to
I'm
help
here.
sort all that out.
Thank you.
Even if you don't know much about the Civil War, if you live in Kentucky, you know the name John Hunt Morgan. He has been in the news a lot in the last year or so because of the statue that stood in downtown Lexington.
Right.
Just so we all start on the same page, John Morgan lived in Lexington and headed a state guard unit there. The state guard was set up to protect Kentucky from either Union or Confederate invasion. At the start of the war, Kentucky's government was neutral. Morgan took his guard unit to Tennessee and enlisted in the Confederate Army. He soon earned a reputation for using unconventional tactics, as we say, and by the spring of 1862 had recruited enough men to form the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry. Dr. Patrick Lewis with the Kentucky Historical Society will tell us about Morgan's popularity in this video.
John Hunt Morgan probably ended the war as the most famous Kentucky Confederate. He didn't start that way. He started out as a son of a prominent Lexington family, militia captain, Mexican War veteran, but raised a unit of cavalry and through daring exploits, raiding behind Union lines, getting captured, escaping from prison, he ended up becoming a figure of romantic interest. He embodied everything that Confederates wanted their cause to be about: reckless abandon, chivalry, that sort of thing. In his cavalry units, you get to ride. It's independent work. It's going out behind enemy lines, tearing up railroads, cutting down telegraph wires, and disrupting supply lines. It's not hard infantry fighting in some of the big battles that we think about in the Civil War. There's a little bit more dash and romanticism to it. You get a saber, you get to be on a horse, you get to ride into town, and all the secessionist ladies come out and greet you with picnic baskets. And this is the kind of war that a lot of young men in Kentucky want to fight. And so in the summer of 1862, with this big influx of Confederate troops led by Morgan, a lot of men rush and join him at that time. During the war, John Hunt Morgan, in the eyes of Kentucky Unionists and his neighbors here in Gratz Park, he's a pirate, he's a thief, he's a bandit. He lives outside the rules of civilized warfare. Esteem for Morgan only grows after the Civil War, and the nucleus of his commands, any of those men who ever served with him, form veterans organizations. They hold reunions in the name of Morgan's men. Morgan surpasses a lot of other Kentucky Confederates in the iconography, the statuary, the paintings, the literature, the stories and song. He surpasses a lot of Kentuckians who are more famous than he was before the war, more famous than he was in the early part of the war. But the fascinating thing is the degree to which the hatred and fear of Morgan, which was prevalent among almost all Unionists in this state, really disappears. And even by a couple of decades after the war, you see a lot of that anger really disappear. He had a very limited military impact on the war, but his propaganda value, his exploits, his fame spread across the Confederacy, and he became really a hero of the lost cause. Also helped his reputation, perhaps, that he ended up being killed in 1864, and so never had to surrender. So joining the ranks of those Confederate heroes who didn't have to come home and live out a messy Reconstruction process.
Welcome to Expree, an organization all about care and craft. And as Kentuckians, we know a thing or two about both. It's the recipe for good bourbon and good banking. Expree is determined to make a difference, simply by being different, much like these Kentucky legends. We've been around for a while, and we know how to handcraft solutions for you, your personal financial cheerleader. We're Expree Credit Union, and this is Spirited Banking.
Every family has at least one mystery. And as a member of the Kentucky Historical Society, you can unlock the past through our incredible collection of genealogy resources, available both online and here in our library. Our team can help you discover unknown family histories for a fraction of the cost of a DNA test kit. Call or visit to learn more. Become a member, and let's find your Kentucky ancestors.
So all of that lines up with what you know and understand.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Because of his popularity, many Kentucky veterans claim to have ridden with Morgan, right? We would understand the reason for that. But how do we find out who really served under his command? When we search Civil War veterans and research them, we turn to several different records: enlistment records, service records, pension applications, you mentioned that before, provost marshal papers, secondary sources. And, of course, we look at other genealogical sources like obituaries.
Right.
Before I tell you what we found out about John Doty, I should tell you that at best, Confederate cavalry records are not complete.
Correct.
And you understand that probably from your own research. Men often were away for long periods on raids, and that meant they were away from regular military bureaucracy and the record keeping. So when we started, we really did not expect to find much, and we were pleasantly surprised by what we did find.
Really? Okay, good.
So this is John Doty's story. As you know, John Doty was 30 to 32 years old in 1860. He lived in Garrett County with his father, and both men were farmers. At some point, before Doty enlisted in the Confederate Army, we think he was a captain in the State Guard. Official State Guard records reportedly no longer exist, so we cannot confirm that. But would you please look at the first document? Now, this document is one of several that tell us when, where, and for how long John Doty enlisted. And can you please read the transcription of that highlighted area there for us?
The records also show that one John Doty, Private, Company A, 2nd Battalion, Kentucky Cavalry, Confederate States Army, enlisted September 15, 1862 at Lancaster, Kentucky.
So the timing is interesting.
Yes.
In July of 1862, Confederate commanders ordered John Hunt Morgan and the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry into Kentucky to inflict damage on Union forces and recruit men for the Confederate Army. And we have a map for you to see, as you're seeing right now. This raid took Morgan up through central Kentucky, starting in Tompkinsville and going north. At Lebanon, he turned northeast and headed through Harrodsburg and Lawrenceburg. Now, Morgan went as far north as Cynthiana before turning and going back to Tennessee. He accomplished his military objective, but his recruiting success was phenomenal. So many men enlisted, and they had to form 3 regiments. Doty enlisted soon after Morgan's raid ended.
Okay. Good.
After his enlistment, Doty was assigned to Company E, 3rd Regiment, Kentucky Cavalry. He later appeared on the rolls for Company F, 7th Regiment, Kentucky Cavalry. Both companies were under Morgan's command. So would you please look at the next document for us? This is Doty's obituary.
Ah.
It provides further proof that he served under Morgan.
did.
So can you read that highlighted area that has the transcription also for you there?
Captain Doty was an old Confederate soldier and did gallant service for the cause at Woodbury, Tennessee, and at Chickamauga. He was a captain of a local company of state guards before the war and won his title that way. So this is news. Yeah, I did not seen this.
So you haven't seen this?
No, I have not seen this.
New information for you, so good.
It validates also the alleged service at Woodbury, Tennessee. Thank you.
We know that Morgan's 2nd Kentucky was present at both of these battles. The first, Woodbury, was a small engagement in late January 1863 near a town not far from where the 2nd Kentucky had set up winter quarters. That was a rough winter for Morgan's cavalry. Their encampment was strung out for 100 miles, and they were confined to camp because the Union Army was in the area. Cavalry units usually foraged for their food, so that meant there wasn't enough food for the men or their horses. Morgan himself had an easier winter. He had established his headquarters in McMinnville, Tennessee, and his new wife was there with him. Military activity picked up in the spring, and the 2nd Kentucky engaged in skirmishes in Middle Tennessee. Then, in July of 1863, Confederate command sent Morgan back into Kentucky on another raid. His assignment was to cause enough commotion to draw Union forces away from the battles of Vicksburg, Mississippi, and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and to frighten local citizens enough that they would request military protection. But that raid did not end well. So we have another map for you to see, and this one's on the screen for you, right behind you. So Morgan rode through Kentucky and went into Indiana and Ohio. He was unable to cross the Ohio River back into Kentucky, and on July 26th, the Union Army captured him. It already had captured and imprisoned many of his men. Some men under Morgan's command did escape capture. More than 300 made it to West Virginia with Colonel Adam Johnson. Now, I know there is disagreement among your family about whether Doty escaped capture.
That's correct.
We have found several pieces of information that show he did. So would you look at the next document, please? So this is part of Doty's military pension application. And can you read that highlighted portion for us?
Were you ever in prison? If so, state what prison and when released. Answer, no.
So there we have it, right from the horse's mouth. Right? But we also have another documentation that Doty avoided capture. And would you look at the next document, please? So this is difficult to read, so we provided you a transcript there. So can you read that highlighted portion out loud?
Present or absent is the question. Response, present. Remarks, belongs to Company E, 3rd Kentucky Cavalry. The officers of the company and most of the men were captured in Kentucky in July 1863.
Interesting. So he was present. And finally, there is Doty's obituary. Remember, it says he was at the Battle of Chickamauga. This was more than a small engagement. The battle raged for 2 days in September of 1863 and took place just over the Tennessee state line in northern Georgia. Survivors of Morgan's 2nd Kentucky, those who still had horses, served under Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest at Chickamauga. In fact, Forrest reportedly let Morgan's men fire the first shots of the battle. So what do you think about Doty avoiding capture when so many others, including Morgan, did not?
It seems to verify an earlier statement that he had avoided capture and then went on to detached service in Tennessee. So this is new information. This is interesting information. Not seeing the muster roll about being present and so forth, and the fact that he was never captured seems to validate that. The service in Chickamauga was pure speculation because everybody fought these big battles, or so they said. So therefore you had to fight, you had to decide. Yes, this is new information.
Wonderful. Well, we lose track of Doty in the Confederate records, but we did find an interesting letter in the Union records that might shed some more light on his whereabouts after the battle. Would you please read the next document out loud for us, please?
Chattanooga, December 11th, 1863. There are some 6 noted rebel deserters, all armed, who state that they will not come in and give themselves up unless compelled to do so by force. They are dangerous to our cause and can easily be found. They are using every endeavor of conveying news to the enemy. They are in the vicinity of Tyner's Station on the railroad, some 9 miles above this place. There is a noted citizen thief by the name of John Doty who steals promiscuously from citizens and soldiers anything he can lay his hands on. He is now every day stealing cattle, hogs, wagons, wheats, etc. He lives some 2 miles above Dallas on the rail and can easily be found. What a legacy.
What a legacy.
That should be very, very interesting. Oh, I'm related to somebody who was classified by the Union Army as steals promiscuously from citizens.
You come from good stock there,
I
sir.
guess so, yeah.
So this is the citizen thief. This is your John Doty,
Yeah.
right?
Must be.
So as Dr.
What do you have to say?
What do you have more to say? As Dr. Lewis told us, Morgan's men were unconventional for their time. Remember, he said that they often wore regular clothing to blend in with civilians, and these activities are typical of Morgan's men. Plus, if you consider the proximity of Dallas to Doty's last known location, Chickamauga, Dallas was not that far away, within probably 20 miles or so, as you can tell by looking at that map, right?
Yeah, I see that.
Yes. So after the letter you read to us, the record goes silent again for almost another year. In October of 1864, Confederate documents state that Doty is in a convalescent camp near Paperville, Tennessee.
Okay.
This is in East Tennessee, near Bristol and the Virginia state line. Why was he there? We don't know. The remainder of Doty's service is also a mystery, at least until he is paroled on May 7th, 1865. We believe that Doty's records always were incomplete. So would you please look at the next document and read the highlighted portion for us?
Well, this is
And that was the map we just showed you.
Confederate Pension Department documentation. John G. Doty enlisted September 2nd, 1862 in Company E, 7th Kentucky Cavalry, and was surrendered and paroled at Mount Sterling, Kentucky on the 7th day of May, 1865. His enlistment and service from date of enlistment till October 1863 proven by record. Further service and parole given by comrades, which were, I guess, my record showed that he had several other fellow soldiers that vouched for him at that time as part of this.
This document is part of Doty's pension application in 1912. Even then, there was a huge gap, and the pension board had to rely on witnesses who had known Doty during the war. Now, when you wrote into us, you mentioned that Doty may have received service medals, and you wondered if that was true.
That's correct.
Okay. We didn't find any evidence that he did. Post-war Confederate groups gave many medals, and if he did, one of them could have been the source. So there's a lot of confusion about your ancestor, and we're trying to work that out, right?
Right.
So here's the deal.
In these episodes of Kentucky Ancestors Town Hall, you've seen us take the best parts of what we do here in our research library and guide each family through a process of discovery that helps create a fuller picture of them, of Kentucky, and of you. We all begin with questions about our past, and learning the answers helps us form a more complete sense of who we are. It helps us embrace our cultures, inspires resilience, and instills compassion for the experiences of others, whether they be from the past or part of our future. Our family histories go beyond names and numbers on a line. They are pathways to connection, and our connection with others is crucial to our sense of self. This is why our work continues, because you have a story too. When you choose membership with the Kentucky Historical Society, you can unlock this story through standard databases like Ancestry, Fold 3, Kentucky newspapers like the Louisville Courier-Journal, and 2 centuries of the American Periodical Series. Not to mention, as a Family Search affiliate library, visitors have free access to over 400 million records they cannot access at home. And this is just online. We are proud to say that KHS has the largest genealogy collection in the state of Kentucky, and that includes books, microfilm documents, archives, and surname files full of hidden gems in family history. But a lot of this work can be really daunting and hard to navigate, so we ensure our team is ready to help you every step of the way. We offer programs that give tips and problem-solving techniques. But we're also known for our sympathetic ear as we understand the frustrations that come with reaching a dead end. That's where Kentucky Ancestors Town Hall comes in. Here at the Kentucky Historical Society, we are now accepting applications for the next season of our program, where we help you find that elusive ancestor. For more information on how to apply or on how to gain access to our member resources, please call or visit online. Help us tell Kentucky's story, one family at a time.
2 Dodys from Garrett County enlisted in the Civil War. One, as we know, was John Gordon Doty. The other was James Alexander Doty. They might have been distant cousins. An article in the Garrett County Line newsletter from 1991 tells us that James Alexander Doty was involved in a bank robbery during the Civil War.
Continuing on with great family tradition. Promiscuously thief and now taking it to a bank.
Why break a pattern?
Yeah, right.
Right? Authorities captured James and eventually put him in prison. However,
let me guess. He escaped.
Yes, he bribed the guards. Enterprising your family is.
Yes.
After the war, James returned to Garrett County and went back to farming, just as John did. It would be easy to confuse the experiences of these 2 men. Makes sense, especially if they were related.
Right.
I want to tell you how much our researchers really enjoyed working on this story. They are almost giddy when they found so many records that confirm your ancestors' service in the Confederate cavalry. It's really quite rare, and we all think you should go buy a lottery ticket or something because...
but stay away with neighbors who have food and provisions because I wouldn't be trusted around.
True story. That is so true. We really appreciate your participation in the Kentucky Ancestors Town Hall.
Thank you so very much.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Renee.
Pleasure.